On today's episode, we'll recap a very busy weekend for the Dallas Stars. Jason Robertson broke a 30-year-old record, and the team did battle with the Arizona Coyotes and the Colorado Avalanche. We'll talk about all of that and look ahead to tonight's game against the Nashville Predators on today's episode of Locked On Stars.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. Welcome back to the Locked On Stars podcast, the only daily podcast covering the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Dane Lewis, your local expert on all things Dallas Stars hockey, coming to you on this Monday, April 3rd. And whether this is your first time here or you are a recurring listener of the show, thank you for stopping by and making the Locked On Stars podcast your first listen every single day. If you're new to the show, be sure to hit that subscribe button, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Remember, we are always free and available no matter where or how you choose to listen. And we got a lot to cover today. The Stars were busy over the weekend. A game Friday night, a game Saturday night, and they're back in action this evening at home against the Nashville Predators. But we, of course, have to kick things off with Jason Robertson, who had himself a very special night on Friday at Mullet Arena against the Arizona Coyotes, a 4-point night, his 100th career NHL goal. And that's a pretty special night, in and of itself, because, we don't see performances like that too often. 100 career goals is certainly worth celebrating for Robo this early in his career. But the biggest part of it all is he is now the new record holder for the most points scored in a single season by a Dallas Star, breaking Mike Modano's record from 1993-1994, the first season that the Stars were in Dallas after their move from Minnesota, a record that I imagine many thought we would never see broken. But here we are in the year 2023, nearly 30 years later, and the record has not only been broken, but it has been shattered at this point, with still a good amount of games left to go on the schedule. And Jason Robertson still cruising past that record, looking to get to and surpass the 100-point marker, which we've never seen anyone do since the franchise moved to Dallas back in the mid-90s. And it's, still 6-7 games left on the schedule. Plenty of time for Jason Robertson to continue to add to his already incredible numbers this season. He broke the record in the only way he really knew how. Just an absolute rocket of a go-ahead goal, kind of a close game, a more intense game than probably was necessary against this Coyotes team. But Jason Robertson put the team on his back to score the go-ahead goal, and the Stars would never look back from that moment. Really, in my eyes, the only thing wrong with this moment was that it happened at Mullet Arena, a college arena, in front of only around 5,000 people. Thankfully, it looked like there was a good amount of victory green in the crowd, a decent amount of Stars fans. But, if it's going to happen in a road arena, I would have rather it have been on Saturday night in Ball Arena, where there was likely a sellout crowd of, 18,000 people. Even if most of them were Avalanche fans, it felt a little bit more worthwhile. It feels wrong that Jason Robertson had to break a 3-decade-old record in a college arena, but that's the Arizona Coyotes for you. Really just can't seem to get anything to go their way this season, in even to that degree for other teams. But obviously, still incredible to do it. I wish it could have even happened at home, but that's just not the way that the cookie crumbled. I imagine he's getting some sort of recognition tonight. I'm sure it'll be announced or brought up during the game, during a break, and I imagine that there will be a pretty hearty ovation from the Stars faithful at the American Airlines Center during this game against the Nashville Predators. And an all-around really good performance from the Stars. Again, a game that was a little too close for comfort at times, and the Stars were not necessarily always at their best. But at the end of the day, they get 2 points, and that ended up proving quite important given how the rest of the weekend would play out, specifically in Colorado, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But of course, you can't start today's episode with anything else other than Jason Robertson continuing to just skyrocket at a historic pace in only year 3 in the NHL, breaking records. Mike Modano was on hand, got to go into the locker room after the game. They take a picture together, a very special moment. And again, it just feels like Jason Robertson is only scratching the surface of what is looking to be a incredible Hall of Fame-esque career. It's obviously he's not there yet. There's still a lot of hockey to be played in his career, but I mean, given how he started out, it does not seem too far-fetched that he will one day be in the conversation of some of the, in the conversation with some of the greatest American-born players like Mike Modano, Patrick Kane, the way that, the NHL world talks about Austin Matthews right now, Joe Pavelski, even on the current Dallas Stars roster. Seems like not too far into the future, we are going to be having that conversation, if we're not already having it now. Because again, he has come out and proven that he is capable of being an effective scorer at the NHL level, despite playing a drastically different style of game than what Mike Modano played. Mike Modano used his blazing speed. He could beat anybody night in and night out. He skated more like a Rope Hintz rather than a Jason Robertson. Jason Robertson, while he's not the slowest on the ice, certainly isn't going to be blazing past, just everybody on the ice like Connor McDavid, but it's just the power with his shot, the finesse that he has. We all remember, relatively recently, the backhanded game-winning goal, the toe drag in Calgary. It's little things like that. He has different ways that he can score, and I think that's what makes it so special, is we're watching something that is similar to the rise of Mike Modano, or similar to the performances that we saw from him back in the, the 90s and the early 2000s with the Stars, but we're watching someone do the same thing statistically, just doing it in a different way. And I think that's really, really cool. That, of course, it's fun to watch the speed demons. It's fun to watch guys skate up and down the ice with ferocity. And Jason Robertson can certainly move when he needs to, but it's really, really special to watch a guy like this perform the way he does night in and night out. And it's a huge reason why the Stars are in the position that they're in at this point in the season, fighting for that top spot in the Central Division. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll shift our attention to Saturday night's game. The Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche went head-to-head in a game with tons of playoff implications and Central Division standing implications as well. More on that right after this. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know if the part will fit, or you'll get your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. I want to thank you again for making the Locked On Stars podcast your first listen every single day. Remember to subscribe to the show. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform of choice. And the Dallas Stars, it was a fun weekend. Jason Robertson surpassing Mike Modano for the most points in a single season by a Dallas Star, and still continuing to climb. But there was a little bit of a bump in the road on Saturday. The Stars pick up 2 points on Friday against the Coyotes, as was expected. But then they had a daunting task in front of them to go up against the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. Night 2 of a back-to-back in Ball Arena, Mile High City in Denver. Thinner air. We all know how much of a disadvantage it appears to be playing in Denver anyway, let alone on night 2 of a back-to-back. And even though there was a loss suffered by the Stars by a score of 5-2, the Stars put up, from what I could see, a pretty strong effort on Saturday. It's certainly not easy to win in that building, no matter what day of the week it is, no matter how far or long the distance in between games is. Certainly not easy to beat the Avs on home ice. And while it doesn't necessarily seem like it was a close game at 5-2, I think the game was a little bit closer than what the scoreboard would have you believe. And I'm sure many of you, just like me, watched the game, and it really did feel that way. And it really felt like the determining factor was that late power play goal for the Avalanche in the second period to give them that 2-goal insurance lead heading into the final frame. And I think by that point in the third period, the Stars had just run out of gas a little bit. You started to see a little bit more tired legs. They get a goal called off in the third period that would have brought it a little bit closer with about 10 minutes left. And I hate the call. It's unfortunate, the goalie interference call. Ryan Suter shoving an Avalanche player into Alexander Georgiev. I see why it was called. And the referee did explain it that way. It makes sense. It stings. You don't like to see those plays happen. Unfortunate for the Stars, but we knew that it was going to be easier said than done to head into that building on Saturday night and get the win. But I don't think you can question the effort that the Stars put out there, especially even in the net with Jake Ottinger playing night 2 of the back-to-back after playing previously the night before in Arizona. And it wasn't just that. Colorado was very fresh heading into this game. They had not played since Wednesday against the Minnesota Wild at home, a game that they lost, but they had plenty of time to rest and recover and get themselves back right for this game. And so it was one team playing at home, fully rested, ready to go, and another team playing everybody back-to-back nights, including the goaltender, and you throw in travel, lack of rest. And the Avalanche, it was very evident. I felt like they were just kind of one step ahead from the get-go in this game. The Stars did apply some good pressure in the first period, but after that first period goal from Nathan MacKinnon, it was really all gas, no brakes for the Colorado Avalanche, as to be expected with that team when they're well rested on home ice. And I'm sure they had revenge on their minds after what the Stars did to them in Dallas about a month ago when they blasted them 7-3 on the day that they recognized Jamie Benn for playing his 1,000th game. And Jake Ottinger, again, the effort was certainly there, and it's a lot to ask of him in that moment. He did all that he could, but Colorado got plenty of grade A chances in this game, and they hardly wasted them when they got those chances. And Jake Ottinger was just not able to make all of the saves that he needed to in order to ensure the win. But I think for a good stretch of the game, he kept the Stars in it. He kept them in the contest and made it somewhat possible for them to come away with the win. Just not meant to be, not the Stars' night. But Jason Robertson did stay hot, and he picked up 2 more points after his record-setting performance in Arizona the night before. He is now currently sitting at 97 points on the season. And if he's going to put up another performance like we saw on Friday, we could see him surpass or get to 100 points tonight. Maybe feels like a little bit of a stretch, but it's also against a somewhat lacking defensive team in Nashville. So never say never. And the top line in particular has played very well against the Nashville Predators this season. Incredible to think that we could be seeing a Stars player reach the 100-point threshold this season. And I think after this game, all in all, I think Stars fans should leave this contest feeling somewhat encouraged. Dallas, Colorado, we all know might actually happen in the first round of the playoffs, depending on how things shape out. The Central Division standings are incredibly tight right now. 97 points, the Minnesota Wild, and Colorado and Dallas, both with 96. And Colorado does have a game in hand. Minnesota and Dallas have both played 76 games. Colorado has only played 75. So the Stars must take care of business from here on out. Really, the only other playoff team they have on the schedule is the Vegas Golden Knights, who it's much easier said than done to beat them, but we've seen the Stars do it twice already this season, and they did it on the road. So you would imagine in their home building that you would have to like their chances, but they also have some other favorable matchups coming up down the road against the Red Wings, the Flyers, a few against the St. Louis Blues. And so things are setting up quite nicely for the Dallas Stars, although you would have liked to have seen them take advantage of the opportunity in Colorado to distance themselves a little bit from the Avalanche. Not much, because they have a pretty easy schedule down the stretch as well. But the Stars fans, they should definitely be encouraged. It would be a challenging series. It'd be an intimidating series with the Avalanche in round 1 if it were to happen. But I think we've seen that Dallas can hold their own. You look at the season series this year, game 1 of the series goes to a shootout, a very close competitive game. Game 2 and 4 of this season series were both in Denver, and both of them were on night 2 of a back-to-back. So you have to factor that in, that even if the Stars match up with the Avalanche, if they're having to play against them in Denver, they will be doing so with at least one day off in between each game. And then, of course, you look at what happened when these teams met in Dallas. Fully healthy, the Dallas Stars absolutely drove the Avalanche out of the building. And so I think it'd be an interesting series. It probably goes to 6 or 7 games. Probably not great for my blood pressure and probably a lot of yours as well. But I think we can be encouraged by what we've seen from the Stars this season against the Avalanche. Some of the matchups that they've had have not favored the Stars in terms of circumstances, but even when that hasn't been the case, the effort has been there. And we've also seen them play this team incredibly close. And we've even seen them put 7 goals on them in one single game. Well, we're going to take one more quick break, but when we come back, we'll move on from the weekend and move on to tonight. The Stars return home for a nice little homestand. They'll host the Nashville Predators and go up against their division rivals for the 4th and final time this season. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by our friends at Athletic Greens. With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's one thing you can do every single day to take great care of yourself, and your subscription comes with a year's supply of vitamin D, which is so important to add in these winter months when we don't get as much sunlight. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day, and that's it. There's no need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, everyone, the Dallas Stars are back in town tonight. They return to the friendly confines of the American Airlines Center to host their division rival, the Nashville Predators, for the 4th and final time this season. Well, I guess they're hosting them only for the 2nd time, but they're matching up for the 4th and final time this season. A season series that has been quite literally spread out throughout the entirety of this season. The first 2 games of the 22-23 campaign for the Stars against the Preds. They played them once in December, and now they're playing them for the final time here in the final couple weeks of the season. And this is a Predators team that is still alive in the playoff race, although they are hanging on by a thread. Not necessarily looking great for them, especially after Sunday night's beatdown. The Winnipeg Jets destroy the New Jersey Devils 6-1 in Winnipeg, not doing the Predators or the Calgary Flames many favors with that result. But this is a Predators team that is still very much looking to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, although it's much easier said than done. And going into this game, we know that Scott Wedgwood has been recalled to the Dallas Stars after his conditioning stint with the Texas Stars of the AHL. I think it's very possible that we could see number 41 back in between the pipes tonight for the first time since February 18th against the Columbus Blue Jackets, just to give Jake Ottinger even more time off and more time to rest and recover, since he did just play back-to-back games this weekend. We saw Scott Wedgwood play 1 game in Cedar Park with the Texas Stars in a 2-1 overtime loss against the San Jose Barracuda. Wedgwood saved 24 of 26 shots and, of course, helped the Texas Stars clinch a point in that game, and they are now going to the AHL playoffs, the Calder Cup playoffs, if you will, to my understanding. And so it's good to have Scott Wedgwood back. Appears that he is ready to go. Of course, the competition in the AHL, probably not as steep as the competition he'll see here at the NHL level, but it's been a long time since we've seen Scott Wedgwood back. Of course, always good to see him healthy and ready to go. And so, again, I'm just imagining that we could see him start and give Jake a little bit of extra time off before some games here at the later portion of the week against the Philadelphia Flyers at home. And always, again, of course, nice to have your main backup goaltender back in the fold. All due respect to Matt Murray, who in the few games that he did get, I think looked fine, and there's certainly some promise there. But you'd like to see a little bit more development out of him before he makes that full-time jump to the NHL. And that's the nice part about the Dallas Stars goalie situation, is you have 2 guys in Ottinger and Wedgwood that, at least for the next handful of years, or at least for sure with Ottinger and The verdict is still out on Wedgwood long term from here on out, but at least this season and next season, you're looking to have those guys as your 1-2 punch. And that allows guys like Matt Murray to continue to develop and do what they need to do in order to be NHL ready by the time they get to the latter stages of their career. But the Dallas Stars going into this game, of course, it goes without saying now, every matchup here from now until the end of the regular season, you need 2 points. And especially against teams like this, I guess you could consider the quote unquote a playoff team are the Nashville Predators, but not really. I don't necessarily think they're going to make it. The math is definitely not in their favor, but they're still, again, going to be fighting. They play hard, but the numbers definitely not in their favor in this matchup. And they're also down a few key pieces. Philip Forsberg has not played since February 11th. Roman Josi hasn't played since March 18th. Been a little bit since we've seen some of their key guys, and you even just look at their stats, and Philip Forsberg is third on the team in points despite not having played in almost 2 months now. And I think that's pretty telling of where this Predators team is offensively. 28th in the NHL in goals scored, 27th in the NHL in power play percentage. We know that they can be dangerous in stretches, but ultimately this is just a team that is consistently outmanned and outgunned night in and night out. And that is exactly what they're coming up to face tonight in Dallas with a team like the Stars that pretty much have all of their offensive weapons ready to go outside of Mason Marchment. But they have the top line, Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, Tyler Seguin, who had a goal on Saturday against the Colorado Avalanche. Things are setting up nicely for the Stars to pick up a nice 2 points in their return home after, I guess, a pretty successful road trip, having won 2 of the 3 games, winning the games they for sure knew they could win. And then, of course, falling a little bit short against the Avs, but still putting up a very good fight. But I'm expecting another good fight, another good battle tonight against the Nashville Predators. Again, it doesn't matter who the opponent is on the schedule. We know that guys are going to fight and play hard, and the Stars need to be able to match that energy. And of course, with how tight the playoff race is now, no extra motivation is needed. But in case you do need that extra motivation, take a look at who's on the other side of the ice. It's your bitter division rival. So it should be another fun, exciting installment of Stars Predators. And let's hope that it ends with the Dallas Stars picking up 2 points. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. Thank you so much again for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform of choice. We're always free and available no matter where or how you choose to listen. You can also find the show on social media at Locked On Stars on both Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on Twitter at Dane_Lewis. We'll, of course, be back here tomorrow recapping this game against the Nashville Predators and breaking down everything that happened and then be looking ahead to what is to come later on this week. But I hope you guys have a great Monday. Cheer on the Stars loud and proud tonight, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.